Hey guys and girls, how are you? I have not been around the last couple days. I have not been feeling very well. I can't explain it, and I'm not going to bore you with it. I just haven't been feeling that great. But I saw a couple press conferences yesterday that bored me to almost drinking. And then I watched one today, and it made me want to jump off a bridge. And I figured, well, you know what? Why don't I just take those three press conferences, we'll put them together, and we'll start talking about them, and then we'll talk about the game a little bit, and then we'll get ready for tomorrow's video. We'll set up tomorrow's video and see how we're going to go from there. So bottom line is we're going to open up with Mr. LaFleur here, and Mr. LaFleur is asked about Mr. Zach Wilson and what he can do to help him.
Like as a play caller, when your quarterback has a game like that, what can you do as a play caller to try to make things easier for him so he doesn't encounter one?
I got to evaluate every call that you make, everything that's on the call sheet. Go back to, was he comfortable with this in April? Did he improve with it? Was he comfortable in August? Is there a common theme amongst a concept or a play or a formation or whatever it might be? You have to evaluate that, So you come out and you start the game plan Monday and Tuesday for the next opponent, which is a totally different opponent, this week than what was last week. And so you put the concepts together, but then when it's all said and done, kind of Tuesday night, you have to go through there and is this going to put him in the best chance to be successful? And ultimately, is it going to put the top 11 guys? So you're hard on yourself with it, and there's that fine, delicate balance of what's too much, what's not enough, what's giving our guys the best chance to win and be successful.
I don't want anybody to think that I'm coming down hard on little Mikey. But I've come to the conclusion after watching the first 2 weeks of this season that this is a really good young quarterback. And he better get help fast by his coach. And just because LaFleur is a really young, inexperienced offensive coordinator, you can't let the fact that he needs to grow so much take down a rookie quarterback in his first year. I mean, you can't sit there and have two guys really growing. And I'm wondering how good of I think, for the record, I think Michael LaFleur has the capability to be a fantastic offensive coordinator one day. I do. I just don't know what a good idea this was, putting a guy like LaFleur, who is so raw, God, with a kid like this. And I'm beginning to get crappy vibes on it. And it's crappy vibes that can go away by week 4, week 5, that everybody finds their footing and it all gets taken care of. But from what I've watched the first 2 games is I've watched the same identical offenses called the same way. The only difference is that in the first game, there was no running attack. So he was smart enough, or maybe not smart enough, I don't know, to allow to just not even bother running the ball as much the first game, where there was a running game the second game, and we went with that more. Not nearly enough, if you asked me, but we went with it more. But the passes, the plays to me looked identical. Identical. Period. End of story. And when I listen to him say things like, no, I don't sit there and evaluate myself. I evaluate myself the way I used to as a player if something didn't go right or wrong. But he says something a little more interesting in this next question that gets me a little bit puzzled. So let's listen to that.
Mike, is there a balance where you don't want him to forget that, but you don't want him to ever focus on you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. No, it's a great question. I mean, you got to learn from those mistakes. But in this league, you also got to be aggressive too, and I love what Salah said, I mean, it's okay to play a boring brand of football. What he meant by that is you got to take what the defense gives you, and to his defense a little bit, and you guys know this, just like when you play New England and they play the amount of man that they have, there's sometimes aren't the easiest completions. Sometimes the best completions are handing the ball off because they're in man coverage and their eyes are on their man and not the ball. And that's what, part of the reason I think we established a run pretty well. So, it was tough to somewhat get him in a rhythm, and I got to do a better job of doing that for him. But he'll learn from his mistakes, but the thing for him that's cool is he's got to maintain that every week's a new week, and I got to be aggressive, and I got to play within the system.
Okay, Mike. Well, what about you? What can you do to make Zach's job easier? Do you ever self-evaluate afterwards and say, what could I have done to make this easier for our rookie quarterback?
You self-evaluated over these last two weeks, your first two games, kind of calling plays on the NFL level. What was it that you felt you needed to improve on the most?
Well, I mean, whether it's the first 2 weeks, the preseason, like every time that I get off that field, I debrief and you just try to figure out, what could I have done better, particularly like in training camp when you're in those call-up periods, whether the defense was taking us to us that day or we were getting the better hand. I don't necessarily think after 2 games or anything like that. I just did I put our guys in the best position both Monday through Saturday, putting a plan together, and then obviously Sunday after, where could I have been so much better to help out Zach, to help out the line, to help out the back. So I don't necessarily grade myself or evaluate it. It's again like when you play when I used to play in high school and a play didn't go well and that's all you could think about. Even though you won the game, it's all you could think about were those 2 plays, and it's the same thing as a play caller. Like, how can I do that to this kid, and how can I not do that again to him?
When you talk about
Yeah. I gotta be real careful here. Because it's way too early to start getting down on a coach. And I usually don't do that. So I don't know what's going on right now. But a couple things there. Number one, when he said, I really love what Salah said there. That is the second time in a press conference he said that, which means he is there. He's watching all of Salah's press conferences to make sure they all get the answers. I guess you have to do that, right? Why would you have to do that? You're just telling what's in your heart. You're telling the truth. Yeah. So he said that. That was. I thought it was weird the first time I heard it, and that's the second time I heard it. Then he mentioned the running game. That's why we had so much success in the running game, because they're playing man to man, and their eye is on the guy they're covering, and that's why you have so much success with the running game. And then he said, so, I've got to do a better job of calling the game, and then really quickly covered up. And then Zach's got to, and then right away what Zach's got to do better. I think the Jets were 5 to 10 runs away from making the Patriots have to adjust a little bit. And you've got to be able to read when that's happening. 5 to 10, that's it, And they just didn't stick to it long enough. They just didn't stick to it. It's okay being down 13-0, whatever. It's okay to stick to the run, with a rookie quarterback. If you're going to ask this kid to win it with his arm coming back like he did week 1, and he almost pulled the damn thing off with one more stop by the defense and then asked to do it again against the Patriots, you're asking a lot. And, wow, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised I'm not crazy about the answers that he's giving, and when I call him Little Mikey and stuff, I'm just busting beans. Okay. So now we go to Salah, and you know what? I'm just going to let him answer the question.
Robert, the Broncos have 3 sacks. They're all by Von Miller. Is he the type of guy that you have to scheme specifically against so that he doesn't beat you?
Yeah, he's a difference maker. So you look at players. There's players who you have to game plan for. There's players you have to pay attention to, and then there's players.
Do you have to game plan for Von Miller? I've got a really good answer for that, and I'll be right back. 1 second. Just stay there. Don't move.
Guys attack on defense, like Carolina women have kind of thrown some screens at you to kind of counter that. What's the teaching point where you're telling these guys to be aggressive, but then they're kind of using that against you?
Yeah, so you guys for hopefully the next 20 years we'll be talking about screens, because that's what teams will do, and we understand that's what teams will do. And defending screens is about effort, getting guys running out the stack and setting edges to get it closer to those guys running out the stack, and that'll never change. And the better we are up front, the more screens we'll see, and the more screens you throw, the more we'll smile at the fact that we don't have to play football. We just need to run to the ball. So it's part of the system. It's part of the issues, one that we're very well aware of, and one we're excited to defend.
What did you?
All right. I was just kidding. I really had nothing to add to it. The screen passes, that's like the third time they've asked that, and the third time he's like seriously answered it. Like, yeah, be ready for it, guys. That is the way you break down our defense. That is the way you attack it. I love how he even said, and we bring it on, because our guys would love to not have to worry about covering a play and just run to the ball, right? So even he's like, ooh, bring it on. So once we get our front four established, apparently we are going to see boatloads of screen passes and their brothers and sisters and cousins. You know what I mean? So I told you it was a little rough, guys, but it's going to get better. Hold on. Trust me.
How big a challenge will the stadium there now with fans be for your offensive line and your young quarterback in terms of communicating in a very loud road venue?
Yeah, they're 2-0. I mean, both their games were on the road, so I'm sure fans are just chomping at the bit. They haven't been in the stadium in forever, with regards to referencing COVID, and I'm sure it's going to be loud. but at the same time, we've already went to Carolina. We've already gotten that experience with lots.
How much will the challenge will it be going to Mile High to play the Denver Nuggets? No, I just kid you. I kid you. The Broncos. The Denver Broncos, who have played their first 2 games on the road, are now coming back after COVID. I got nothing.
I have one more hard-hitting question.
One more hard.
Got me sweating over here, man.
Robert, do you expect Denzel to be inactive again on Sunday?
Game time decision. We'll see how it all works, but pumped for Denzel in the week he's had. There's obviously he's growing just like the rest of the team is, so we'll see on Sunday.
Did you hear from your mother? This is my hard-hitting question.
First off, I want to say sorry, Ma. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. She's the best. She's always been my biggest fan, but she's concerned. She's a concerned mom like everyone else, every other mother in the world. So, well warranted.
And then we get to Denzel Mims, and you heard Salah's words. He said rebound. And you don't go through that complete build-up there and then all of a sudden decide that you're not going to play Denzel Mims. Yes, he said game time decision. Denzel Mims is playing. So, will Denzel Mims be on punt return, punt coverage? We'll find out. But hopefully we get to see him as receiver. That's what I'm looking to see. Mike LaFleur, to me, is on a little bit of a hot seat right now. And there may be people out there that don't agree with me, and gladly put it in the comments. But I am sick and tired after watching the Jets over the past, I don't know how many years, within the last decade, of it's up to the coaching staff to control these guys the first couple of years in the NFL. Don't talk about in post-game press conferences how it's your duty and your obligation to make sure blah, blah, blah. Just do it. I'm tired of hearing about it. Protect this kid this week. Let him shine where he has to shine and protect him. Because I'm getting sick of it. As a Jet fan, I'm getting sick of it. I really, really am. So, Michael LaFleur, call a good game this week.